history is to document our world as it already is. Fiction is to fantasize about how it could be. In that sense, architecture is the fiction of the real world. So turning dreams into concrete reality with bricks and mortar. Architecture is the canvas for the stories of our lives.
Jacques Ingels, the Danish architect celebrated for his bold and innovative approach to contemporary architecture, spent a pivotal period early in his career at the Office for Metropolitan Architecture, OMA, the renowned Dutch firm co-founded by R.E.M. Koolhaas. Ingels joined OMA in the late 1990s after completing his studies at the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts in Copenhagen and the Escola Tècnica Superior de Arquitectura in Barcelona. His time at OMA marked a critical phase in his development, where he was exposed to rigorous theoretical design, experimentation, and large-scale architectural problem-solving. Working under the mentorship of Koolhaas, Ingels absorbed OMA's culture of combining avant-garde ideas with practical execution. He contributed to several high-profile projects during his tenure, notably the Seattle Central Library in the United States and the CCTV headquarters in Beijing, China. Both projects epitomized OMA's approach to redefining typologies through bold form-making and spatial innovation, concepts that would become central to Ingels' later work. The Seattle Central Library, 1999 to 2004, was a particularly influential project for Ingels. Conceived as a radical rethinking of the traditional library typology, the building combines distinct programmatic zones, stacked and shifted into a dynamic, crystalline structure. Its unconventional form prioritizes function, circulation, and accessibility, challenging the idea of libraries as static, hierarchical spaces. Ingels was immersed in OMA's process of diagram-driven design, where conceptual clarity informed architectural form, a principle he would later embrace and refine in his own practice. Ingels also played a role in the early stages of the CCTV headquarters project in Beijing, 2002 to 2012, an ambitious design that reimagined the office tower typology. Rather than a conventional skyscraper, the building features an iconic, continuous loop that links horizontal and vertical elements into a striking geometric form. The CCTV headquarters embodies Koolhaas' vision of architecture as a generator of new experiences and relationships. For Ingels, this project demonstrated the power of bold, context-driven ideas to reshape urban identity and symbolism. While OMA's intellectual rigor and focus on theoretical innovation shaped Ingels' thinking, he began to develop a more pragmatic and optimistic approach to architecture. After leaving OMA in 2001, Ingels co-founded the Copenhagen-based firm Plot alongside Julian de Smet, a fellow OMA alum. Plot's work, such as the acclaimed VM houses in Copenhagen, revealed Ingels' talent for combining functionality, playfulness, and sustainability, an approach that would later define the ethos of his solo practice, the Jacques Ingels Group, BIG. Ingels often credits his time at OMA for instilling in him a deep appreciation for architectural narrative, conceptual clarity, and the importance of questioning typological norms. However, where Koolhaas and OMA often embraced critical and dystopian reflections of contemporary society, Ingels forged his own path by introducing optimism, humor, and a belief in architecture's potential to improve everyday life. In retrospect, Jacques Ingels' period at OMA was a transformative chapter that shaped his design philosophy. The exposure to experimental thinking, ambitious projects, and theoretical depth equipped him with the skills and confidence to become one of the most influential architects of his generation. By combining OMA's avant-garde mindset with his own playful pragmatism, Ingels has redefined architecture as an art of creating hedonistic sustainability and bold, forward-looking solutions for the built environment.
Way of specifying regulations, and I think the Dutch example, because I think quite often we as architects in this case experience that the success criteria in a competitive bid is so muddied by sort of too many variables. And for instance, this idea of saying there's one fixed variable, the public, and I think this is where the public can really champion this kind of tender processes, the public is interested in spending this because you can calculate pretty accurately what something should be able to be done for. So you just cap that's sort of competitive criteria, and then you just establish on a political level, these are all of the values we see, and these are all of the concerns we have in this particular project or this particular location, and then just hit it as hard as you can, and we'll simply choose the most brilliant solution with this price tag. I think that's that would like radically, like if that could be an EU tender law, that would be like the greatest revolution in the last decades.
Like unleashing creativity, yeah, there's no.
The winner is a great architect who happens to be a woman.
I think it's all aimed at making a better world. I mean, I still maybe in a way still believe in the 20th century dream that architecture could contribute to a better life.
Zaha Hadid, one of the most influential architects of the 20th and 21st centuries, spent a formative period at the Office for Metropolitan Architecture, OMA, a renowned Dutch architecture firm co-founded by R.E.M. Koolhaas. Hadid joined OMA in 1977 after completing her studies at the Architectural Association in London. This experience marked the beginning of her professional career and played a significant role in shaping her radical approach to architecture. At OMA, Hadid quickly distinguished herself with her exceptional talent for design and her visionary imagination. Under the mentorship of R.E.M. Koolhaas, she worked on groundbreaking projects that pushed the boundaries of architectural thought. OMA's experimental, theory-driven practice provided the perfect environment for Hadid to explore her ideas about fluid forms, movement, and unconventional spatial organization. She became particularly skilled at translating conceptual ideas into powerful architectural representations through dynamic drawings and paintings. One of the key projects during this period was the Kunsthal in Rotterdam, 1987 to 1992, a cultural exhibition space that exemplified OMA's bold approach to architecture. While Hadid had left OMA by the time of its realization, she contributed during the competition phase, working closely with Koolhaas and the team to conceptualize the design. The Kunsthal is celebrated for its radical, fragmented geometry and innovative use of ramps and overlapping circulation routes. Its design challenges the traditional museum typology, blending art and experience into a dynamic, spatial journey. The building's openness and flow, marked by its ramps that slice through the structure, reflected ideas about movement and the continuous interplay of levels, themes that Hadid would further develop in her own work. Another significant milestone during Hadid's time at OMA was her involvement in the Parc de la Villette competition, 1982 to 1983, in Paris, a landmark international design contest for an urban park on a former slaughterhouse site. The competition, which sought to redefine the relationship between landscape and architecture, became a platform for avant-garde architectural ideas. OMA's entry, led by Koolhaas and supported by Hadid, proposed a dynamic and conceptual solution that emphasized its superposition of different layers, grids, and activities across the site. It demonstrated a new way of thinking about urban space, using fragmentation, deconstruction, and a strong theoretical underpinning. Hadid's involvement in the project, particularly through her graphic explorations and understanding of spatial complexity, shaped her ongoing interest in creating architecture that defied conventional order. While Hadid left OMA in 1980 to establish her own practice, the influence of her time there remained evident in her early works. Her experiences on projects like the Kunsthal and Parc de la Villette provided her with a foundation to explore dynamic movement, fragmented geometries, and the intersection of theory and practice, concepts she would continue to refine throughout her career. Hadid's time at OMA was not just a stepping stone but a critical period that cemented her identity as an architect willing to challenge conventions. It equipped her with the tools and confidence to become the queen of the curve and a pioneer of parametric design, transforming the world of contemporary architecture.
Zaha's story is absolutely fabulous. She is the greatest woman architect, not in the world now, and probably ever lived. And she's right here, in London. You can touch her. Well, almost.
She does demand attention, and she gets it. She goes to the States and she has dinner with Obama. She is a superstar.
Zaha is, if you know her and if you understand her, very inspiring person. But you have to have patience. You have to give her room. If you try to constrain her, then she will explode.
Zaha was a genius. She was doing work that nobody else conceived of, never mind figured out how to build.
Zaha was a pioneer, and she was a star in the firmament of ideas and of poetry. And once a star goes out, there is really no one to replace it. She was unique.
There are very few people in the world who are known by one name. And, anywhere in the world you can talk about Zaha.
Who knows what extraordinary creative things might have come out of that imagination if it had another 1 or 2 decades to keep producing things.
What she managed to do, which is so amazing, is to actually take this entire universe that seemed impossible and unbuildable and completely sort of changing our understanding of what's fantasy and what's reality.
When you're an artist or an architect, you need immense courage, and Zaha had this immense courage and radiating immense courage, and I think that was infectious to many, many young people.
How do you sum Zaha up? A great architect and a great person, a very special person.
The very essence of Zaha was a real romantic, very sensitive, but a warrior too, and that's how I like to remember.